Hello everybody, how are you doing today? Welcome again to yet another very interesting video. In today's video, we want to talk about a very interesting topic. Yes, today we want to discuss, we want to compare Ivory Coast and Kenya. So Ivory Coast is a country found in West Africa. The capital and the largest city is Abidjan, and Kenya, on the other hand, is a country found in East Africa, and the capital and the largest city is Nairobi. Now, the reason why I have decided to create this video comparing Kenya and Ivory Coast is because of the presence of a very fierce online war between the citizens of these two countries, and the war began when an Ivorian journalist made a very daring statement against or about the three East African countries, Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. And everybody knows from experience that Kenya was automatically going to respond. Kenya would not have just kept quiet as things were getting wrong. So that is why the war began. And so far, I think the war is still going on. You will let me know in the comment section. Yeah, so that is what resulted into the war. And the journalist claimed that East African countries did not have good roads outside their respective capitals. The guy added that it is very difficult for one to move or to drive from one town or city to the next, therefore claiming that it would be very impossible for the three East African countries to successfully host the upcoming AFCON tournaments in 2027. So I did not want to assume things. I did not want to join the war blindly, but I've decided to join the war by using data, by using meaningful matrices that can actually tell the viewers between the two countries which one is better. So to find out the reality between the two countries, to find out the reality between Ivory Coast and Kenya, then stay tuned up to the end of this video. So because the comment was about road infrastructure, you will allow me to first do a quick overview of road networks in these two countries. I have not yet begun the main part of the video, but this section is going to open up your eyes and your mind so that the main body will be a lot easier to understand. So it is very surprising for somebody to make such a bold negative statement about a region that is one of the best performing on the entire African continent today. Yes, it is very true. The EAC economic bloc is among the best performing economic blocs in Africa today. And the reason why it is performing well, number one, is because of proper road connectivity. And today, even right now, I'm very sure there are buses that are moving across the borders. Some are moving from Kenya into Tanzania, others from Tanzania into Kenya. We also have those moving from Tanzania into Uganda, also from Uganda into Tanzania. And the same is true between Kenya and Uganda, between Kenya and Rwanda, and also between Uganda and Rwanda, Tanzania and Rwanda, Tanzania and Burundi. So it's very difficult to believe that these countries are not in a position to host the tournament. The only thing one can talk about that has got a lot of sense is that the countries lacked international standard sporting facilities. The three countries lacked good stadiums, and that is what they have actively been working on in the last 1 to 2 years. Uganda has constructed the Hoima City Stadium, which is now complete, and they are currently constructing one in another city. For those who don't know Uganda, who understand Uganda well, you will tell me the second new stadium that is currently under construction in Uganda, just after the completion of the Hoima City Stadium. Let me know in the comment section what stadium is that, what is the name, and in which city is it being constructed. Then apart from that, Uganda also heavily renovated the Mandela Stadium, and all of you were able to see the stadium during the CHAN tournament. At the same time, Tanzania has been doing a lot of work in building new stadiums. One, I believe, is being constructed in Arusha, another one is in Zanzibar, and perhaps there will also be another one in Dodoma, which is the capital city. Then you come to Kenya. Kenya also did a lot of renovations on Kasarani Stadium, giving it international standards. And right now there are plans to upgrade the Nyayo City Stadium so that it can have a canopy and be in a much better position. And finally, Kenya is also in the final stages of constructing a very big ultra-modern stadium in Nairobi City along Ngong Road. And the stadium is none other than the Talanta Sports City Stadium. And then finally, it is also very important to make a very important mention regarding Rwanda. Rwanda also have a very good stadium. Actually, it does it meets international standards. That is the Mahoro International Stadium. So it is only in the areas of the sports facilities where the East African countries were lagging behind. But when it comes to road network, don't joke with the East African countries. They are one of the best, and this is the reality. It is something that is available everywhere online. Now forget about the quick overview. Let's now get into the actual video of today. But before getting into the video, if you are watching me for the first time, don't forget to subscribe to United East so that you don't miss any of the upcoming uploads. And also don't forget to give this video a like so that YouTube can continue suggesting it to more and more people. We want reality to be known, and the best way of ensuring that the reality is coming out is to give this video a like, and also don't forget to comment. So I will compare. The video is about Kenya versus Ivory Coast. So I will compare Kenya and Ivory Coast in terms of economy, healthcare, education system, and finally I will say something very quickly about their connectivity to the international world, which is very, very important in the modern business environment. Now, number one, I will start with the economy. Now, in terms of economy, I will talk about two very important measures of economic performance. That is GDP, the nominal GDP, and the GDP per capita. So, in terms of nominal GDP, Kenya stands at about 140 billion US dollars based on the recent data released by IMF, while Ivory Coast is at about 98 billion US dollars. So that is clearly giving us a difference of about 42 billion US dollars, which is indicating that the Kenyan economy is much, much bigger than the Ivorian economy, and therefore on the first factor, Kenya wins by a greater margin. Now, before moving to point number two, I would like to mention something about the GDP per capita. the GDP per capita, in terms of the GDP per capita, because Ivory Coast has got a much smaller population of about 32 million people as compared to Kenya's larger population of about 58 million people. The GDP per capita of Ivory Coast is slightly larger than that of Kenya, making them to perform relatively better, slightly better than Kenya in terms of the quality of life. When we look at the GDP per capita, it means that an average Ivorian is slightly richer than a Kenyan, but overall Kenya performs best in terms of economy. Now, the second factor I will use to compare these two countries is the education system. And when it comes to education system, Kenya has one of the best education systems in Africa. And if I am not wrong, the Kenya's education system ranks among the top 5, while that of Ivory Coast, while I'm not sure about the actual position, the country has never ranked in top 5. The country has never ranked in top 5 of the top African countries with the best education systems, while Kenya routinely ranks among the best in Africa. And that is also a clear indication that in terms of education system, Kenya wins by a bigger margin. And there is a lot of everything, there is a lot of information to support this fact. For example, Kenya has a lot of well-established schools with facilities and also with well-trained teachers. It is also in Kenya where you will find a lot of renowned international students. Yes, I'm not trying to say that we don't have such in Ivory Coast. We have them there as well, but they tend to be more in Kenya than in Ivory Coast. So therefore, Kenya wins by a bigger margin in terms of education system, just like for the case of not healthcare, but just like for the case of economic performance. Now at number 3, we have the healthcare system. So healthcare system is also one of the very, very important factors for measuring the level of development of a country. A country cannot be considered developed if it does not have a good and well-structured healthcare system. So in terms of healthcare system, South Africa leads the entire continent with the best healthcare system overall. And what many people do not know is that coming closely is the Kenya's healthcare system. And I'm very sure that the Ivory Coast does not appear anywhere. I'm not trying to, I don't want to sound biased, but I'm just using the data that is available to everybody. Ivory Coast has never appeared anywhere in top 5 countries with the best healthcare systems in Africa. So due to the fact that Kenya is repeatedly being ranked as the second country with the best healthcare system in Africa, Kenya also wins on this one by a lot. So far, Kenya has 3 points against 0 for Ivory Coast. What do you think so far? Please don't forget to let me know in the comment section. I will always respond to your comments, and I'm also open to guidance. Feel free to guide me whenever necessary. Now at number 4, we have on our list of comparison between Kenya and Ivory Coast, we have urbanization. So urbanization is also a very, very important factor when comparing two or many countries. And in this case, I want to give a very clear comparison between Kenya and Ivory Coast in terms of their levels of urbanization. So starting with Kenya, Kenya has got several well-developed and modern urban centers, which comprise towns and cities. If you go outside the capital city, Nairobi, you will still come across several decent towns and cities that are well developed and doing a lot better in terms of economic performance. For example, in Kenya, you can leave Nairobi and go to Mombasa and still find yourself in a very decent modern city. The same will happen when you leave Nairobi for Kisumu, and the same trend applies for Nakuru as well as Eldoret. Now, apart from the cities, we also have many towns in Kenya which are in a very, very good state. And some of them, I will just mention them very quickly. We have towns like Naivasha, we have Kisii, we have Kakamega, we have Kitale, and so much more. Then when it comes to the case of Ivory Coast, many people know only the capital city, that is Abidjan. Even myself, I don't even know the name of the second largest city in Ivory Coast because they are not well known. And if they are not well known across Africa or across the borders, it means that something must be seriously wrong somewhere. So in terms of urbanization, Kenya wins as well. So far the scorecard is at 4-0, Kenya versus Ivory Coast. What do you think? What do you think? Kindly let me know in the comment section. Now the final factor I will use for comparing Kenya and Ivory Coast is the level of connectivity to the international community. And to understand this point very well, I will begin by the official languages in each of the two countries. So in Kenya, the official language is English, while in Ivory Coast, the official and the largely spoken language is French. So if you compare English and French, you will find that English is spoken in most parts of the country compared to French that is spoken only in a few countries around the world. So that means that if a country is using English as their official language, then that country will have or will be better connected to the international community than the one relying on French. And in that case as well, without any doubt, Kenya wins by a greater margin. So what do you think so far? What do you think about Ivory Coast and Kenya? Kindly let me know in the comment section. Let me know about a point that I missed and you wanted to be in the video, and also feel free to correct me in areas that I did not mention the correct data. Now, as always, I want to thank you very much for staying with me up to this far. This brings us to the end of this video, and before you leave, in case you have not subscribed, please ensure you subscribe to the channel, and also don't forget to give this video a like so that it can be suggested to more and more people. We want the truth to come out. Now, bye for now, and see you in the next video.